I love colors so much. Colors are so pretty and so fun. And like you can see, I organize my bookshelves always in rainbow colors because this is so pretty and I love seeing those colors together. So because I love colors so much, I thought maybe I will recommend a book for every color. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jane and today I'm going to recommend a book for every color. I'm sure we already understand that I really love colors because I do really love colors, and colorful books are just amazing, and I'm going to follow the rainbow colors. It means that I'm going to recommend in the following order: red, orange, yellow, green, light blue, dark blue and purple, but I'm going to add to it also pink and then white, grey and black. Now I know that you have a lot of variations for a lot of different colors. You have also things like gold or silver, but I'm going to stick with those colors, and I'm going to recommend you today some really random books, but books with colors. So the first book that I'm going to recommend is a book that you probably can guess because there is a blank space behind me, but this book is Scythe by Neal Shusterman, and this isn't the first time that I'm recommending this book because this book is just so good. I looked at all of my read books and all the other read books weren't good as this one, and basically Scythe is a utopian dystopian story. I love dystopian stories. I read a lot of dystopia in the past and I didn't read a book this good before. If you're those kind of readers that are really plot driven, I think this book is like perfect for fast-paced read. This book is like long. It has almost 450 pages. Isn't short, but this is just so fast-paced. It really felt to me like 3 books in one. And although this is a very plot-heavy book, it still has very interesting characters. Like, I really love the characters. Everything just felt so good and so in place. And like, I understand now that I didn't even told you what the story is about. But this is about a world where people live forever. But because people live forever, you don't have enough resources for everyone, someone needs to die. So there is Scythe. And the Scythe's job is to kill people. So the 2 main characters of the story, this is a double POV, are going to be Scythes and going like to learn how to be Scythes. And the Scythe job is really hard because you need to choose who you're going to kill. You are basically choosing whose life to end. So this is like a very emotional book and it deals a lot with death. This book is just so amazing. Now the next color is orange, and actually I had a problem to find a book in orange that I want to recommend, but in the end I realized that there is The Fifth Wave by Yancey, and I know that this isn't exactly orange, but I feel like this is close enough. And basically The Fifth Wave is the first book in a trilogy, and I read this trilogy when I was in high school and I was obsessed, and I honestly don't feel like enough people is talking about this trilogy, and this story is just so good. And the plot of the book is basically following an apocalypse categorized as dystopia, but it's more end of the world story. And this is basically multi-POV story that are following, I think, 3 or 4 characters, like a lot of characters, but the plot in this book is really good. I remember that I read it and I always felt so interested in all of the characters because a lot of times when I'm reading multi-POV stories, I feel like some characters are more interesting than the others, but I didn't feel like this when I read this book. Everything was interesting, all the characters, all the plot lines, and like I say, this is a story about the apocalypse. There were a few waves, and in every wave something really bad happened. It was basically things like earthquakes and tsunamis. Every wave made more people die, so in the end there isn't a lot of people in the world. So this is another story that is talking a lot about death and a lot about survival, because basically the world is dying and not everyone is going to survive, if even there is going to be someone that is going to survive, and it makes you think a lot about life. It was so good. And there is also a movie for the book, and the movie doesn't do justice for the amazing book. I do think that the plot and the characters, everything is so good in this book. Now the next color is yellow, and yellow is personally my favorite color. I love yellow so much, and there is actually a lot of yellow books that I wanted to recommend, but I feel like yellow is a summery color, so I thought that the best book to recommend is The Honeymooners by Christina. Now I'm sure that you already heard about this book because I feel like I hear people recommending it non-stop, but there is a good reason for it. If you want some romance contemporary story, especially enemies to lovers contemporary story, this is the perfect story for it. Now basically the story is following 2 characters. This is like double POV, and basically the sister of the main girl, the woman, is getting married with the brother of the main character, the man. So like they are going to be in the same family because their sister and brother are getting married, but they hate each other. And in the wedding, there is like some food poisoning. So the bride is sick and they can go to their honeymoon. But if they are not going to the honeymoon, they are going to be charged full price. So this is basically fake dating because the main characters are going to fake it and going to pretend to be married to go to this honeymoon instead of their sister and brother. Yes, this is enemies to lovers and this is fake dating, and this is also, like you can see from the cover, a summery vibe because they are going to vacation in Hawaii, I think. So this is like the perfect summer book. I personally read it in an audiobook and I really recommend the audiobook. It was really good. It was so fun to listen and I really listened to it in one day because I just couldn't stop listening to it. It was so fun. I had such amazing time reading it. Just amazing romance, contemporary love story. It was so good. Now the next book, the green book, is Verity by Colleen Hoover, because of course that I'm going to recommend the Colleen Hoover book, because if you are not new to my channel, I really love Colleen Hoover and I actually already recommended this book before, but really this book is so good. It was my favorite book of 2020 and basically this is an adult romance, but it's also a thriller, and the main character of this story is an author and she gets an opportunity to continue writing a really popular book series. And basically what happened is that the original author of this really popular book series is now sick and she can't continue writing the series because of medical conditions, but the publishing company doesn't want to give up on those really popular books and they're asking for the main character to continue writing this really popular series. And this main character is going to the house where the original author of the series is living, and the original author of the series, her name is Verity, but this woman Verity is still living in her house, and the main character of the story is basically going to her library and like trying to understand in which direction the story that she's continued to writing needs to go. But of course in Verity's library she's finding out a lot of really dark secrets and a lot of really dark things, and there is also romance between the main character and the husband of Verity. This is a very complicated book, but it's so good. This is an adult romance, so it's steamy, be aware of it, and I'm not the biggest thrillers fan, but the mystery in this book is like really good and I just couldn't put it down. I read it in one day. This is a good book to read if you want a quick standalone, and yes, this book just surprised me so much. Yes, I just can't recommend it enough. Now we are going to the blue colors, and the first book or the blue colors is the light blue book, and this book is The Selection by Kiera. Now this is the first book in a series that you probably heard of because this is like a very popular series, and I know that all the other books in the series aren't blue, but the first book is light blue, so I think it counts as a light blue book. And this series is a YA dystopia series, and I read it in high school, but I honestly think that everyone can read it in every age, and the reason that I recommending it is because that until today I'm looking for a series that will make me feel like this series made me feel. This is a future world in America where like everything is in new cities and states, and there is a royalty family, and in this royalty family there is a tradition that every time that the heir is coming to the age where they need to get married, there is a bachelor show, choose the person that the heir will marry. So basically the story is that in this book the heir is Prince Maxon, and Maxon is the bachelor in this reality show, and there is like a lot of girls who is coming to this reality show, and he needs to choose which one of them is going to be his wife and which one of them is going to be like the queen next to him when he is going to be the king. So this is like a romance dystopian story, and this is like about a reality show. I do think that this storyline is really good. Like it feels a little bit generic in the idea, but not really, because I didn't read this kind of book anywhere else, and like I also really love royalty. So if you are those kind of readers that really love to read stories that takes place in castles, you're really going to love this book. A lot of people recommend this series, and I think this is for a good reason, because this is a very good series. yes, I enjoyed reading this series so much, and I honestly, until today, looking for another series which is somewhat similar to this series because I just enjoyed it so much. This is like a very, very good series. Now, the next book, the Dark Blue book, is actually the book that is until now my favorite book of 2021, and this book is Horrid by Katerina. This is a YA horror mystery book, so if you are a horror fan, this is like a perfect recommendation for you. But I honestly feel like this book is good also if you didn't read horror never and you want to try this genre. This is a good place to start with. For me personally, this was my first ever horror book that I read, so I do think this is a good place to start with this genre. But basically, Horrid is a book that's following Jane, and I remember the main character name in this situation because her name is basically the same as my name. But Jane is living with her mother, and because her father passed away, her mother and her are moving to live where her mother grew at, and her mother grew in a really weird and creepy big house, so it's like a horror story and a haunted house story. Now, I don't think that the plot in this book is like the most mind-blowing plot, but the main reason that I enjoyed this book so much is the characters and the writing. Now, I'm those kind of readers who are more plot-driven readers than character-driven readers, so I think that it can make you understand that if I love the book not for the plot, it means that the characters and the writing is actually really good. In this book, I just enjoyed it so much because the writing of Katerina Leno is amazing. Like, I felt like I was drawn into the story right away from the first word. Like, I just read the first word and I already felt so much in the book. I feel like the atmosphere of this book is what makes the book feels so special. I felt all the atmosphere of the creepy and the mystery. I just couldn't put this book down. Honestly, wish that I could read this book for the first time again. It was just so good. So good. Now, the next book is Purple, and for this, I want to recommend Wicked Fox by Kachu. And basically, this is a YA fantasy romance story, but this is like a contemporary fantasy, and this book takes place in Seoul, South Korea. This book following Myung, 17 years old teenager, and Myung is Gomyo. A Gomyo is a Korean mythology creature who is a fox with 9 tails, and the Gomyo is living from the energy of men. So this is a Korean mythology story, which is so cool because I personally really love the Korean culture, but I never heard about Korean mythology. So it was my first time ever reading about the Korean mythology and about all the creatures and all of the legends and stories. So it was really fun to read. This book, there is like a really good plot. I really think that the plot is really good. It had a lot of unexpected things and twists, and also the characters in the story are just so lovable. Like, I love every character, and every character was really interesting. So yes, if you like K-drama, this book really feels like a K-drama. You have all the description about Korean food, and like really this book really feels like a K-drama. I just can't explain this book better in any other way. It just feels like a K-drama. But honestly, I'm not watching a lot of K-dramas because I'm not the biggest TV shows watcher, but also I personally don't really enjoy K-dramas. I do think this book is so good. Also, if you loved K-dramas, and also if you don't love K-dramas. So yes, the plot is really good, the characters are amazing. I just feel that not enough people talking about this book because this is so good. Now, the next book is the pink book, and actually I feel like this color was one of the colors that I had the most problem to choose because I actually have a lot of really good pink books, and most of those really good pink books were graphic novels. So I'm going to recommend the graphic novel because I need to recommend at least one graphic novel because I love to read them so much. I feel like this is right. I'm going to recommend graphic novel that I actually don't talk about enough, and I do think this graphic novel is so cute and so wholesome and so amazing. And this graphic novel is The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Gwon. Now, this graphic novel is just so cute, but it's also, I cried a little bit from this graphic novel. But yes, this graphic novel is basically following 2 main characters, the Dressmaker and the Prince, and the whole plot is that the Prince loves to wear dresses, but he's hiding it from his family because he's going to be the next king, and he doesn't want for his parents to know that he's wearing dresses like in secret. He's hiding everything, and he hired this really cute dressmaker because he wants really beautiful dresses. And yes, like, this is a graphic novel. You can read it in 1 hour, but it's just so cute and so heartwarming and so emotional. I love this so much, and it has like a really good representation. And this is like basically all pink, perfect for the pink color, and also the illustrations in the book are really good. Like, this story takes place mostly in castle, so you have a lot of details from the castle and a lot of really beautiful illustrations. But yes, this graphic novel just so amazing, and they just don't talk about it enough, but I do think this is so good. So we finished with all the colorful colors, and now I'm going to talk about the white, gray and black. And for the white book, I'm going to recommend Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This is actually the only book in this recommendation list that I gave less than 4 stars. I actually gave it 3.5 stars, but I do think this book is so good. And the reason that I gave it 3.5 stars is because you basically know that the end is going to be bad. Because this book is following the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, but this is the story of the Queen of Hearts when she was younger and when she fell the first time in love before she became evil. So because this is a retelling about the Queen of Hearts, we basically know that in the end the Queen of Hearts is evil. So you know that something bad is going to happen because this is the Queen of Hearts. This is the main reason that I didn't enjoy this book as much as I wanted, because I just kept telling to myself that something bad is going to happen and I just couldn't really connect to the characters because of it. But if I'm not thinking about the expected ending, I do think this book is so good. Marissa Meyer is like one of my favorite authors. I love her writing so much. She just makes you really in the story, and I really felt for Katerina, the main character. Like, I really wanted for her to have a good ending, but because I'm a plot-driven reader and I knew that the ending is going to be somewhat bad, it felt a little bit expected to me. But if you are those kind of character-driven readers who read the books for the characters, I do think this book is really good to read. Just be aware that you know that it's not really unexpected. So yes, if you okay with knowing the direction of the ending, this book is so good. Now the next book, the Grey book, is a book that I think I already talked about, because I feel like this book is a book that everyone can enjoy. And this book is Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. And this is those kind of books that I didn't hear any bad review about it. Like, I hear only good reviews. Also, the average rating in Goodreads is really high. This is a murder mystery, and this book following Pip, a 17-year-old teenager who is investigating a murder that happened where she is living, and the murder happened 5 years ago. And in this murder, a teenager murdered his girlfriend, and a few days after, this teenager committed suicide. And nobody really knows the truth, but the main character is positive that the guy who committed the murder isn't the real murderer. I'm not the biggest thrillers fan, but this thriller was so good. It had so many layers. When I felt the story is going to end, just another thing happened. And one of the reasons that I love this book so much is because the main character is really smart. Like, in a lot of thrillers books, I feel like I'm reading something and I already know the answer, but the main characters don't know the answer, and I just wait until they will understand what is going on. So it's like boring because I already know what is going on. But in this book, I just didn't know what is going to happen. And every time that I was thinking about something, the main character already also was thinking about this direction. She's just like really good investigator. It was so fast paced. And yes, this book just so good. And again, I didn't hear even one bad review on this book. And I think that this says a lot. Now, the last color is the black color. Basically, the book that I wanted to recommend for the black color is actually a series, and this series is the Lunar Chronicle series. Now, you do have new cover editions, and those cover editions are really colorful, but the original covers are black. So I feel like this is a good series to recommend, but this series is just so good. And basically, this series is a dystopia, romance, sci-fi series. It has a little bit of fantasy, but it's mostly sci-fi. And this series is a retelling series, and basically every book is following another main character, and every character is basically a retelling. So the first book, Cinder, is a retelling of Cinderella. The second book, Scarlet, is a retelling of Red Riding Hood. The fourth book, Cress, is a retelling of Rapunzel. And the last book, Winter, is a retelling of Snow White. Now you have also epilogues and like extra books. You have Fairest, which is like the story of one of the evil characters. And you have also Stars Above, which is like short story collections about the characters. And you have also like a graphic novel series series, which is like really cool. Now, I read only the first 3 books, but I'm so comfortable recommending this series because I do feel like this series is also amazing. But one of the things that I love the most about the series is that also the world building is so good. And like, I love good world buildings, but I feel like this series isn't a typical YA series. I had a huge reading slam, and since I got back into reading, I really feel like a lot of YA books disappoint me, but this book really felt mature to me, and like there was so much high tension moments and so much things that I wasn't expecting. And I do feel that a lot of times in YA books recently that I personally read, I feel that they are not really mature, and I feel like I didn't read a series this good for a long time. I'm sorry if there is an angle change. I really think that Marissa Meyer did an amazing job with this book. So if you love YA dystopian books and if you love retellings, I do think this book is so good. So yes, basically those are the books in colors. I love colors so much. I think colors are so beautiful and so fun, and it's fun to have books with different colors. It was really fun like to pick books for each color to recommend. Like, I just loved doing this. I'm sorry again for the angle change. My phone doing me so many problems today. But yes, it was just so fun to pick which books I want to recommend. I'm uploading 2 times a week on Sundays and Wednesdays, but until the next video you can check more videos by me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone!